We'll be starting by watching a video from the Brooklyn Borough President.
Greetings. I'm Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Wellness Series for Caregivers, a collaboration between my office and the PSS Circle of Care. I do not believe we can do enough for the caregivers in our homes and in our communities. Most of them will humbly say that they do it out of love or concern, but caregiving can take a toll on a person's emotional, physical, and mental well-being. Studies show that family caregivers often carry a great deal of stress, and many neglect their own well-being in favor of meeting their caregiving responsibilities. With this in mind, it is imperative that Brooklynites be provided with relevant information and tools that educate and support. During this series, many important issues will be covered, such as basic caregiving, elder law, mindfulness and meditation, COVID-19, and understanding dementia. Although the subjects are serious, we hope you find the presentations engaging and light, with the goal of providing you with the tools and strategies for effective caregiving. And as you learn and engage, hopefully you'll do it in an environment that lets you know that you are not alone. Thank you for your selfless caring and support. Please enjoy the series.
To welcome everybody. So again, my name is Shayna Jacques. We have Madge Adam and Madison McQueen for our presentation today. So this workshop lays the Dementia RAW Method foundation, which equip family caregivers to handle everyday communication challenges by focusing on creating connection and simplify communication with the person living with dementia, using the rules of improv, comedy, and the pillar of empathy. So without further ado, we're going to start with Madison.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here with us today. As Shina said, my name is Madison, and I am joined by my colleague, Madge. We're two care consultants here with PSS Circle of Care.
Madison, real quick, I'm sorry. I know Tanis wanted to say something. Sorry, Tanis, I didn't see your message. Tanis Brown, she's from the Brooklyn Borough President. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see your message.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight, or this afternoon, and to let you guys know that we're having our Women's History Month program tonight, and it's called Preparing to Pivot. And I know that we're all in a state of we're pivoting from wherever we are, especially because of the pandemic. So if you can go to our website, brooklyn-usa.org, to sign up for the event. We're partnering with women.nyc, and we have 4 dynamic women that have pivoted in their careers and are now thriving. So if you want to go over to check them out, we'll appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you again. All right, Madison.
Thank you, Tanis, and thank you for being with us this afternoon. So again, my name is Madison, and I'm joined by my colleague Madge to bring you guys Dementia RAW. So in case you're not familiar with PSS, we were founded in 1962 by a group of volunteers to help serve the older members of their church community. Today, PSS has evolved into an innovative multi-service agency working for New York City's older adults, caregivers, and their families. Our mission is to strengthen their capacity to thrive. We create community. Today, PSS operates 10 community centers for older adults. We offer numerous educational programs at our satellite campuses as well as online. We have 3 residences, including the Grandparent Family Apartments in the Bronx. We have a program to assist caregiving youth and kinship caregivers of all ages, and our Coming of Age New York City program for those 50 or older to live with purpose and passion, and of course, our caregiver support program, Circle of Care. Some things you may not know about Circle of Care or about family caregivers are that more people are or will become family caregivers because their spouses and parents are living longer. As people age, they're more likely to develop a physical or cognitive impairment that reduces their ability to function independently. This is particularly true for those in their 80s, which is the fastest growing US population group. Nearly 1 million New Yorkers are caring for a family member. 50% of those are under the age of 50, while 25% are millennials. On average, someone will be a caregiver for about 5 years. Caregivers are of all races, ethnicities, and incomes. Caregivers rarely self-identify as family caregivers because they're feeling they're doing what is right and what needs to be done as a loving and responsible spouse or child. It's common for caregivers not to know where to turn for help. That's where PSS Circle of Care can assist. Because we're funded by both city and state government, our services are completely free of charge. All clients, regardless of income level, will be served. Our approach is to build the capacity of the caregiver, as well as building the capacity of the community to create stronger, more confident caregivers and educate their community through our volunteer caregiving training, various workshops, and events. We offer our clients individual and family consultations, support groups in person, online, or by phone, educational trainings such as Understanding Dementia or the Powerful Tools series, as well as Dementia RAW, which you're here for today. We offer wellness and joint enrichment activities such as memory cafes for both caregivers and their care recipients, as well as respite, which is temporary time off with care in or outside of the home. So how can you reach out to us if you are in need? Well, you or as a family caregiver or as a referral partner can contact our toll-free hotline at 866-665-1713, or you can email us at careinfo@pssusa.org. Please feel free to do this in either English or Spanish as we can assist you all. Inquiries are then screened and if needed assigned to one of our many care consultants, such as Medj and I. Our care consultants will then work one-on-one with the caregiver to schedule an appointment to complete an assessment. We will assist you in identifying the needs and providing the information needed by the caregiver, as well as directing the caregiver to appropriate services and supports, such as support groups, educational trainings, or webinars. Our caregivers are kept informed through our follow-up calls and emails, monthly e-newsletters, and ongoing informative classes throughout their community. Now that you know a little bit more about us, again, we want to welcome you to Dementia RAW, which is, like Cheyenne said, a very interactive program. So we hope that you guys will join us and have a little bit fun with today.
Thank you, Madison. Again, good afternoon. I'm gonna say good morning. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our Dementia RAW presentation. So now many of you are probably wondering, what is Dementia RAW? So Dementia RAW is a new and effective way of communicating using improv. So why improv? Improv creates momentary relationships and a foundation of trust. Improv is about creating a connection and building relationships. It provides a platform for reconnection, and it also helps the caregiver to become flexible and think quickly on their feet. So I'm going to use this as an example. So let's say that I'm a caregiver and I'm caring for my grandmother who's diagnosed with dementia. Now, I'm certain that my grandma had the keys earlier today in the dining room. But as we're getting ready to leave, she's accusing me of misplacing the keys. So now instead of confronting her with my truth, which is the truth, I may say something along the lines of, I did see the keys in the dining room earlier. Let's look over there. So by simplifying this communication, I avoided what would have been a disagreement. I avoided created feelings of self-doubt for the person living with dementia. And instead, I included grandma in a possible solution and therefore building trust. So this is just one of the many ways we're going to illustrate using Dementia RAW techniques in today's presentation. I want to remind you again that this is an interactive webinar and we're about to do an icebreaker game that we call red ball, blue ball. So do we have any volunteers? Thank you, Linda. I can only see like 5 people, so so I see Linda volunteer. Did someone else volunteer? Just say yes. Okay. So I can see Linda and I can see Madison. Shina, this may be one of the things I need you for. Okay, now we can see everyone. So are there any other volunteers? Okay, so let me explain the game. We're gonna do it with me, Madison, and Linda. So I'm going to throw an invisible ball to Madison, and I'll call out the color of the ball. So I'll go Madison, red ball, and throw it to Madison. Madison will then throw it to Linda, or she can throw it back to me. Or she could throw it to Shina if she appears in that little box I see. Then I'll add more colors to the ball. So I'll go, as you guys are passing around the red ball, I'll go ahead and I'll throw in a yellow ball. So then we'll have 2 balls going around. And I'm just gonna bring it up to 3 balls if we can. So this is just the example round. So we're gonna go ahead and play the game. Madison, red ball.
Red ball, Linda, red ball.
Madison, red ball.
Red ball,
Linda,
Meg, red ball.
Red ball, Madison.
Red ball, Linda.
Madison, blue ball.
Blue ball, Linda, blue ball.
Blue ball, Madison.
Wait, what happened to the red ball?
Madison has it.
Oh, sorry. Red ball, Medge.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start over. Can we get like just one more volunteer?
I
Just one. Let me try to get Shiny to come in.
Janice or Ida, you guys have your cameras on. Would you like to join in with us?
Jazz was like, I don't know.
Okay, I can try.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
all right. Ida, red ball.
Red ball, Madison.
Red ball, Linda.
red ball, Medge.
Red ball, Linda.
Red ball, Ida.
Blue ball, Madison.
Red ball, Madison.
Blue ball, Medge. Red ball,
Blue
Linda.
ball, Linda.
Red ball, Medge. Blue ball, Ida.
Red
Blue
ball, Madison.
Madge.
Red ball, Linda.
Blue ball, Madison.
Red ball, Medge.
Blue ball, Ida.
Okay.
Ball, Madge.
All right. So let me give you guys the explanation for the game. So now, red ball, blue ball is a game all about thinking quickly on your feet. And even though the answer is right in front of us. So a couple of times people were saying red ball, blue ball, and I'm really trying to think which ball do I currently have because it's an invisible ball. So a person living with dementia may be experiencing a multitude of thoughts or things at one moment. And as caregivers, we want to minimize any additional stressors. So the 2 main components that you'll take away from Dementia RAW today are the pillars of empathy and the rules of improv.
So in order for us to use the pillars of empathy and the rules of improv in our communications, we might want to learn a little bit more about each of those. So empathy is about finding echoes of another person in yourself. Empathy allows for introspections and is essentially meaningful for communication. More introspection and less judgment allows us to gain a deeper understanding and an improved ability to communicate that understanding. But how do we cultivate empathy? We can do that by using the 4 pillars of empathy. The first, perspective taking. The second, staying out of judgment. Thirdly, understanding emotion. And lastly, communicating that understanding. Meg is going to help us understand how to have some perspective taking now.
Okay, so I'm going to do this by going over a case study. So I'm going to read the case study and then I'm going to break down the pillars of empathy. So this case study is called A Party at the Hospital. Joan visited her mother, Pamela, every day during her hospital stay. Pamela lived in a memory care unit and was hospitalized after a recent fall in her bathroom. Although she had not broken any bones, her legs were bruised and she required some therapy to regain strength. One afternoon during Joan's visit, Pamela was insistent that there was a party going on right outside her room, and she had not been invited. Joan attempted to remind her mother that she was in a hospital and no parties were happening. Pamela persisted. There is a party. I can hear it. Everyone is having fun and no one invited me. Don't you hear them all drinking and laughing? Again, Joan reminded her mother that she was in the hospital and even attempted showing her the hospital paperwork, the wheelchair by her bed, and the call light button by her side. Joan became even more agitated and started to cry, repeating, "They are all having fun without me." Okay. So now in this case study, we have Joan, who is visiting her mother, Pamela, who is currently in a memory care unit. Now, Pamela is insisting that there is a party going on, and Joan is trying to convince her that there is no party. I'm sorry, Janice, were you saying something?
No.
Now, using the pillars of empathy that Madison just broke down to us, we're going to see what could have been done differently to create a different outcome. When Pamela expressed to her daughter that there was a party going on, Joan had the opportunity to cultivate empathy. So we're going to break down the 4 pillars of empathy that we see here on the screen. So perspective taking. Now, Pamela expressed that she could hear the party and provided details such as laughter and drinks. So it's possible that maybe a staff members were having a get together, or maybe someone in the next room had visitation as well and were laughing and having drinks. Or maybe there wasn't a party going on at all that day, but maybe there was one 2 days ago and she's just confusing the time period. So that's perspective taking, just taking a step back and trying to see what the care receiver could mean by what they're saying. Number 2, staying out of judgment. Notice that Joan didn't inquire any additional information and quickly reminded her mother that she's in a facility. So by not acknowledging Pamela's concerns, which was that she wasn't invited, Joan is basically saying, I'm right. And there's no way possible that what you're saying could be accurate. At this moment, Joan could have easily created what we call a compassionate story and responded to her mom by saying, I did smoke cake on my way to your room, but I think it was one of the staff members having a celebration. So by her saying that, Joan is letting Pamela know that she is in a facility and there probably was a party. And the only reason that she wasn't invited is probably because it was staff members only. Number 3, understanding emotions. From what Pamela expressed, it sounds like she felt left out, agitated, and it even details her crying towards the end. Realizing how much this was upsetting her mother, Joan could have recognized how her responses were upsetting her mother. An important part of understanding emotions is not just understanding the other person's emotions, but knowing how your emotions come across to that person. So we can only imagine, like, we say something happened and the person's like, nope, there's no party. And you're like, but I heard laughter and drinks and music. Nope. And no explanation.
Below the interest rates, as well as your monthly payment. End of final message.
And then our 4th pillar of empathy is community understanding. So find a way to relate to the caregiver versus trying to fix it or trying to take it personally. Joan could have easily just told her mom, after she said, well, there was a party going on and I wasn't invited, Joan could have said, Mom, you used to have the best parties. Remember the pool parties we used to have in the old house? And it would have completely just changed the topic. And they wouldn't have to have any interaction or sit on that frustration at all. So with this case study, we're able to break down the pillars of empathy and create different, more positive outcomes to the story.
Incorporating the pillars of empathy into our everyday situations can be easier said than done. Staying out of judgment particularly can be difficult for all of us. The need to judge is a human quality born out of the necessity of survival. When we stay out of judgment, we are not necessarily excusing any bad behavior, but we're freeing ourselves from inner turmoil. Mitch mentioned we can create a compassionate story to help us exercise staying out of judgment. For example, this past weekend, I saw a car parked horribly in a parking lot. It was crooked, taking up more than one space, and making it extremely difficult for others to park around it. At first, I thought to myself, who on earth would have just left their car like that? That's extremely inconsiderate. But then I took a moment to reflect and look back and thought, well, maybe it could have been an emergency. Maybe they needed to run in to grab something for a sick child. Maybe they were running late for their own appointment. Maybe they were on a way to see their parents before visiting hours closed at a nursing home, assisted living facility, or hospital. By taking a moment to reflect and change my perspective, I used a compassionate story to help better understand what kind of emotions the individual who parked that car could have been feeling. Can anyone think of a time that you were in judgment or judged a situation right off the bat? Now reflect back on that story and try to replace it with a compassionate scenario. How does this change the way you feel? Did it help you build connection? If any of you would like to share an example of creating a compassionate story, we would love to hear that now. Please feel free to unmute yourself and share, or feel free to put one in the chat box if you would just like to jot down some feelings.
I just wanted to say that since, we're in the field, I think I've just naturally create compassionate stories. So if something's happening, I always consider, well, maybe it's an emergency, or maybe this is something, that they really have to do, or is due today, or they're overwhelmed, which happens with a lot of caregivers. So I just feel like now I just naturally just create a compassionate story for everyone. So, I just wanted to put my input about the compassionate stories.
Absolutely. Once we do it more consciously, then we begin doing it subconsciously, which will help us staying out of judgment overall. Would anyone like to share an example? Great. Well, at this time, Medj is going to take us into understanding emotions. So once we've created a compassionate story and we consider different emotions someone might be feeling, how can we best to understand those emotions?
Okay. So emotions are communicated in 3 separate ways. Verbally, which only accounts for 7%. Your tone, which accounts for 35%. And body language, which accounts for 58%. So in order to understand someone's emotions, we have to pay attention to all 3 of these components and understand how those emotions are expressed. So communicating that you understand an emotion is the first step in agreement. So what does that look like? I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and mute.
That's okay, Medj. We understand. Working from home can be really difficult sometimes. Please, the crying's no problem.
Actually muted myself. Thank you for being so understanding, Madison. So this is an example of understanding and communicating your emotions. So by Madison speaking with me and communicating that she understood, because I do have 2 small children, but that was my laptop. We were able to build a relationship and have more conversation. So that's one of the ways that you can communicate your emotions and understand emotions and help to build a relationship. Because if Madison didn't communicate that, that would have been it. And I would have just felt embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, my kid was crying. So by her saying, well, I understand, you can go ahead and mute your line, we were able to have more conversation and build on our relationship.
Now that we understand the four pillars of empathy, how can we put that together with the rules of improv? Well, first, we must know the 4 rules of improv. The first is to relinquish your agenda. The second, always make your partner look good. 3, use the rule of yes and 4, the gifts. It's important to remember that improv is about creating, building, and maintaining relationships and connection. Improv provides us with a platform or a foundation to connect. When relinquishing our agenda, there are 3 main topics to remember. The first, to always recall the tasks at hand. The second, the desire to be right. And thirdly, the desire to give advice. We're going to incorporate you guys now in a little game to help us exercise some of these topics. This game is called the one-word story. So we'll take a few volunteers and together we're all going to put together a sentence by only using 1 word at a time. So at this time, can I take any volunteers? Linda, thank you.
Yeah, Linda.
Shayna,
Thank you,
thank you.
Shayna.
Can we get
It's one word, guys. Okay.
All right. Great. So also, out of our 4 volunteers, can you guys name a color and an animal for us to use?
Purple cat.
Purple cat, wonderful. So the only rule to this game is that we have to use purple cat and each of us can only say 1 word at a time. So I'll begin, I'll pass it to Medj and then Linda and then Cheyenne. So I'll begin. The
Purple
Cat.
Stole
my
money
From
my.
wallet.
That was so good.
Wonderful. So that was a great example, you guys. So how did we relinquish our agenda? Well, we were constantly thinking about the tasks at hand. We were remembering what the person said before us, which some sentences can get really long, and therefore we're continuously jogging our brains. The desire to be right. I may not have wanted anyone to steal something in this story, but when I was provided the word stole, I had to think quickly to provide something to go along with that. And the desire to give advice. Again, we have in our minds a way we want the situation to go, but it doesn't always go our way. So we have to go with the flow and remember to relinquish our agenda throughout every conversation. So let's do another example. Would anyone else like to join us on this last example? All right. It'll just be the 4 of us again. Linda, would you like to give us another color and animal?
Blue monkey.
Blue monkey. All
Yeah,
right.
very colorful animals. I like that.
All righty. So the match.
What was it again? It was a blue monkey?
Okay.
Okay. Blue.
Linda.
Monkey.
Sleeps
On.
The
Top.
of
bunk.
Bed.
for
The
Entire.
Night.
I can find another one.
Is that the period?
exclamation point.
Exclamation point.
That was awesome, you guys. So how did y'all feel playing that game? One, was it difficult to remember what had been said right above you? Distractions can come in at any moment. Did any distractions make it difficult? Or overall, just how were you feeling?
I definitely got stuck.
Yeah,
was
me
like,
too.
oh, what word should I throw in here?
Yeah, me too. Because I was just trying to figure out the blue monkey. Maybe he's on the tree or something,
I felt like you were
eating
gonna say
bananas or
skull again.
something. But that was my direction. But everything went somewhere else. But
Absolutely. Just as in caregiving, we may have an idea of what direction we want things to go in, and we're also always thrown off guard. So this story also helps us learning how to make our partner look good. We don't want to ever make our partner feel silly, ridiculous, embarrassed. So we're constantly trying to think of ways to avoid that. So Madge is going to go a little bit more into detail about how we can make our partner look good.
Okay. So as a caregiver, the person living with dementia is always your partner. And you always want to make your partner look good. Just like Madison is going to make me look good, and I'm going to make Madison look good. But there are a couple of things that you definitely want to avoid. First, never challenge the person living with dementia to remember. They may not be able to recall and feel embarrassed and become defensive. Number two, never bombard them with questions. Just like when we were playing red ball, blue ball, this may cause confusion and frustration when they have too many things coming to them at once. Just us sitting right here playing the game, I was like red ball, blue ball, and just looking in every direction. So just imagining just bombarding a person who's living with dementia with several questions, they're not going to know how to answer it. And number three, never deny their reality. When you challenge a person living with dementia, their truth, their natural defenses just kick in. And this would just cause them to shut down or start to create conflict. So these are the three things that we want to avoid when trying to make your partner look good. And then I'll just go ahead and move on to the third, what is this, rules of improv? Rules of improv, which is yes and. So yes and is a technique used in Dementia RAW to show caregivers the benefit of being in agreement with the person living with dementia. So you say yes, and the yes signifies you being in agreement. And then you say and, which is an extension and inclusion. So I'm gonna give you two examples with the examples I've already used. So yes, mom, it looks like there was a party here and it sounds like it was coming from the break room. That could have been just a simple response. Or yes, mom, I had the keys this morning and I think I left it in the dining room. Let's go look there. So that's two examples of how to use yes and. But me and Madison are also going to give an example of how you don't want to respond to a person living with dementia. And then we'll go ahead and show you how it looks when you're using the rules of improv. So Madison, do you have a Betty White poster in your bedroom?
No, why would I have that?
Who doesn't have a Betty White poster in their bedroom? I love Betty White.
I love her too, but I don't have one.
Okay, so that's how you don't want to respond to a person living with dementia. So now I'll ask the same question, and this time Madison will use the yes and technique. I'm sorry, I have a real distraction. Hold on. Do you have a Betty White poster in your bedroom?
Yes, and I have one in my living room.
Oh my gosh, me too. I just love Betty White.
Me too.
So this is how you respond to someone living with dementia. So instead of saying, who has a Betty White poster in the bedroom? Like, how random is that? You just go along with it. Yes, I have a Betty White poster in my bedroom. I also have one in my kitchen. And the conversation just naturally flows and you're able to go to the next topic and avoid confrontation. Well, avoid the person living with dementia getting frustrated or agitated. So I'm going to go ahead and use another example, and Madison will show us how not to respond, and then we'll ask for a volunteer. So Madison, did you see that purple bird fly across?
No, Madge, birds aren't purple.
Birds are definitely purple. Birds are all colors.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's how you would respond not using the rules of improv. So now, do we have any volunteers that can use this with yes and? Did you see the purple bird fly across my screen? Go ahead, Linda. Oh, well, let's give Jess a chance to respond. Were you raising your hand?
The kid in the back of the room. I would hope that I would respond by saying, "Oh yes, and I love birds of any color."
Yes, that is a good
What a
example.
pussy.
Thank you. Okay, let's try another one. Do you hear, this one could be true, but do you hear the screaming child in the background? Madison, respond not using yes and.
No, there are no children here.
Okay. So who would like to provide a yes and example for the screaming child? Do you hear the screaming child in the background? Oh, Jance, yes.
Yeah, I'm warming up. Again, I hope that I would say something like, yes, and they sound very, very excited. It must not be close to nap time or.
Must not, that's good. We're gonna do one more. And I hope I can get another volunteer. So Madison will go ahead and show us how not to respond to a person living with dementia, and then we'll go ahead and get the volunteer. So Madison, do you hear that music playing in the background?
No, I don't hear anything. It's quiet.
I think I hear some R&B music in the background. No? Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now who wants to use yes and with this example?
Denise Brown, would you like to go?
Yes, and thank you.
Oh, I see the little hand up. Okay, I didn't see that.
Yes, I hear the music in the background, and that's my favorite R&B song of all time.
That is so good. I like that one. So thank you guys for volunteering. It's really simple, and it's just a way to move the conversation along without that person getting agitated.
Absolutely.
And our last rule of improv is the gifts.
Absolutely. And the gifts are anything in communication that we are given and willing to acknowledge. They can be words, questions, statements, comments, phrases, or body language provided by the person with dementia that provide us with a jumping off point for validation of feelings, reminiscing of moments, and collaboration. Just like in our last example by Denise, she said, yes, and that's my favorite R&B song. This would allow for the person with dementia to go, oh my goodness, yes, I love this artist. I remember this memory relating to this song. It provides an opportunity for more communication, reminiscing of older moments, and of course, that validation of feeling. Another example of a gift would be the gift of the short loop. A person with dementia is not always going to remember every conversation, comment, argument, or outburst. This is when the gift of the short loop can come in handy. You have the opportunity to essentially start over. If an argument was had over some sugar packets missing earlier that morning or over a Betty White poster not being in the living room, you can simply move on and act as that didn't happen. There's no argument. We're having a good day, and allowing that person with dementia to continue on feeling good, even if 15 minutes prior it was a complete meltdown. This allows you time to recoup and get yourself, back in a good state of mind, as well as allowing effective communication. So you may have joined us today kind of wondering, how does empathy and improv assist us with communication? And it's true that the two go hand in hand, especially for caregivers. Empathy and improv helps create connection with the person living with dementia. It helps the caregiver to understand the care receiver from a new perspective and allows us to be put into their shoes for a few moments. And improv empathy simplifies communication and facilitates a deeper understanding of emotion. So we hope that you guys learned something today and can take away one of the tools we discussed and used and work it into your everyday life and situations. At this time, do you guys have any questions, or would you like to go back and do any more examples of any of the games we played today?
I do want to add that Dementia RAW has great techniques for helping to move a conversation along. It helps to empower the person that's living with dementia, and it just helps to like have more peace in the home. I can't tell you the number of times, I hear caregivers say, well, I tried to tell her that this is not what we're going to do today. She has a doctor's appointment. She doesn't want to go. She said that she was going to go, and they just live in the moment of that conflict. And Dementia Raw just teaches you how to avoid getting into those confrontations, because in an hour, the person living with dementia is going to forget, and you're going to be the only frustrated one.
Right.
So it just teaches you how to move the conversation along and keep things at peace, and also still empower the person living with dementia, because they're going through their own thing at the same time, a multitude of things that we can't understand from where we are, which is what red ball, blue ball tried to show you, like, okay, I have all these things coming to me at one time. I'm confused. So Dementia Raw just helps to simplify things. So I hope you were able to get that out of it. I know there's a couple of techniques in there. I don't know if the PowerPoint is available. Can we send the PowerPoint?
I hope so.
Yeah. So if you need the PowerPoint just to look over it, we definitely have that for you. Oh, go ahead.
I'm here today, actually, both personally and professionally, because I'm a representative of the Brain Injury Association of New York State, and I just completed, up to the time of her death 2 years ago, a 15-year caregiving obligation to my friend's mom. I literally at times lived, in the house. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I do practice a lot of these techniques already, but and I do want to say to other people, they don't come overnight. It takes practice. It takes a little soul searching, and
Patience.
I'm patient. Patience, of course, number one. But I wish my own sister could listen to this, because she now caregives as a job, and she just thinks that the poor woman is guilty of everything. She can't get over it. She can't move past. She said that's how she was before she declined, and that's how she is now. She's not a professional. She's a mom. That's her best training. But I realized when I spoke with her how much work it often takes to evaluate these situations and leave your ego and yourself out of it and care for where the person is at. People with brain injuries have very similar, it's quite a crossover actually, challenges, caregiving challenges due to memory, confabulation, all of these things that make folks sometimes just very uncooperative and unable to cooperate, I should say. So I'm really interested to wonder if you folks are interested in bringing this this whole paradigm potentially to a brain injury annual conference. We're going to be Zooming this year, but this kind of communication skill is critical, I would say, would be really well welcomed in our in our professional and caregiving circle. It's an awesome and simple thing to think through and to implement.
PSS would definitely love to offer this training to them. I get contact Shaina right here. Oh, I don't know which box she's in for you, but contact Shaina and we can definitely do that.
Yes, and unfortunately, we had started it to provide these one-on-one presentation before COVID, and we're grateful now that we still can provide it. It's a little bit difficult when we have to do it all on Zoom, and because the interaction with everybody, it's more effective, in my opinion. But we have to use what we have, right? But I would definitely be able to get in contact with you and then see if we can provide that to the group.
That would be fantastic. It won't be until June, so there's time.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
But they're they just sent out RFPs, and I don't know, last year in response to the Zooming and the changes we made, everyone was, I think, more enthusiastic than this year. So we're just I'm always searching for the on the ground, person to person solutions. A lot of time we talk professionally above the people that we're really actually meaning to impact. So I just love this really grassroots, opportunity to change and to learn. So fantastic.
Thank you. And this is our first time doing it virtually. So I think it went really good. And I like when you said that you have to meet the person where they are. That's a really important part of it. Just meeting the person who's living with dementia where they are to just simplify things for yourself.
I wanted to just add something if I can.
Okay.
So I know many people on this webinar today. I'm a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's right now, but I worked with autistic children before. So I always did the yes and kind of thing a long time ago, and I learned it. And I did Dementia RAW a few years ago at PSS, and I loved it because it touched on a lot of things. And what I've learned, and as you said, a lot of people aren't aware of how to interact. My care receiver has been in the hospital on many occasions, and a lot of times you hear people that the aides and different people don't know how to react. And the funny thing is the purple cat is something that he would always see, and that's why I use that. And I remember one time in the hospital, he kept saying, "Do you see the purple cat over there?" And I was like, "Yes." And isn't he cute? But make sure he doesn't climb out the window. So the aide, that they had like a sitter, an aide with him all the time, and the aide would say to me, you're remarkable, the things that you do. And I said, listen, guys, anytime you're in the room with him, if he says something, don't say, no, it's not there, because you are going to have a confrontation, or he's going to feel like judged. I said, just go. I said, there's so many little white lies, if you want to call them, but they're harmless. So it was funny because every time I would go in the hospital, they got to know us, unfortunately, very well. But they all said, do you know, we've taken that with us and we've done it, and it's helped them interact with so many other patients in the hospital, not with Alzheimer's, but with other things also. And it really helped them. So I felt like it was such a good thing. It's such a simple thing to know, but it goes a long way. So thank you.
So good to hear.
Out to everybody.
Thank you. That is so good to hear how it's being used just in everyday practices inside the hospital, and they were able to pick it up after that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned last time with you, Linda, and I wish that a lot of people will know, and especially family members, when they know they not to have to do that interaction, that back and forth with the person that has dementia. It's going to take them a long time to accept it, because sometimes they in denial, not wanting to know the person is declining or have that issue. But again, as you said, Jen, is to make the person where they are, they're not there yet. So that's why sometimes it become that confrontation to say, no, it's not there. No, it's not what you're saying, because themselves, they're in denial of what's happening in their life with the person they love. Well, so anybody else has any question? That was good and deep and informative. So thank you, all of you, for participating tonight, this afternoon. It's because it's so dark outside already.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody has their hands up. Let's see. Oh, Denise, you want to say something? You can unmute yourself.
No, that was me from when I participated. Yeah, that
okay.
was a long time ago.
You have to take
Sorry.
That's okay. So I have to lower your hand. So I didn't realize that.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So we want to thank the Brooklyn Borough President office to cooperate to do this partnership with us. We will have our next and final Wellness Wednesday next Wednesday about understanding dementia is another great topic. And also we'll have our event on the 1st about SCAME. So we'll be excited to provide a lot professional, it will be like 3 panelists that day to provide information about scamming. We know a lot of people are going through that, especially older adults. So we wanna bring awareness in that situation to them. If any other question, I want to say thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, guys. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did you have the link for the woman from the borough president?
Oh, yes. Denise, do you have it?
Thank you very much.
What
Oh,
link?
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Very, very informative. I'll be back.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Denise, do you have it?
I'm sorry, I don't know what link she's looking for. What link is she?
The women
woman-
event for tonight. Yes.
Yes, 1 second.
Thank you.
So I just put it in the chat for you guys to register.
Okay.
I'm gonna copy it and send it. Oops.
And what was the women's group you said that you collaborated with for that?
Woman.nyc.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great afternoon. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye now.
Guys.